All right, let's get right into it. The AI world is absolutely buzzing right now, and it's all about a new model from Google DeepMind called Genie 3. But here's the thing, this isn't just another text-to-video generator. No, this is what they're calling a world model, and it honestly feels like we're taking a giant leap into the future of AI.
So check this out. One of the lead researchers was watching a demo, and he said this one moment just made him sit up in his chair and go, wait, how did that happen? What he saw was a character, completely generated by Genie, paint a wall. Then the character walked away, did something else in the room, and when it came back, the paint was still there. It didn't just disappear. It persisted.
And that right there, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? How can a generated video, something that's just pixels on a screen, actually have a memory? How does it remember what happened, even when the camera isn't looking? This is the core breakthrough of Genie 3, so let's really dig in and figure this out.
This ability, this persistence, as the researchers call it, is what makes Genie 3 feel like a completely different beast. It's not just stitching together a bunch of pretty but disconnected images. It's building a coherent world, a world that actually remembers itself. And what's really fascinating here is that this wasn't some happy accident. The team didn't just stumble upon this. No, achieving this kind of long-term memory was one of their huge, ambitious goals from the very start. But even they were kind of blown away when they saw just how incredibly well it worked in practice.
So, what are we actually looking at here? What is this thing? Well, the official term the DeepMind team uses is world model. And you can think of it as a whole new class of generative AI, one that's built on the shoulders of everything that came before it.
Okay, here's maybe the best way to think about it. You know those text-to-video models like Sora or Veo? They're kind of like making a movie. You type in a prompt and boom, you get a beautiful cinematic clip. But you can't do anything with it. You just watch. Genie 3, that's more like a video game. You give it a prompt to create the world, and then you can actually jump in, move around, and interact with things, all in real time.
So, the big question is, how on earth did they pull this off? It's not like there was one single magic trick. It was actually about solving three incredibly difficult technical problems, and not just solving them, but making them all work together in perfect harmony. That's the real magic.
So first, it had to generate this world in real time, no waiting around. Second, it had to have that crucial long-term memory, the whole paint on the wall thing we talked about. And third, it had to let you control what's happening just by typing. Doing any one of these is hard. Doing all three at once, that was the core, monumental challenge they had to overcome. And you know, a breakthrough like this doesn't just happen in a vacuum. The team said their progress was basically turbocharged because they pulled in research and, importantly, people from other huge projects at DeepMind. They brought in experts from their video model, Veo, people from their game engine models, and smashed all that knowledge together. And the jump in quality from what came before, it's just night and day. Its predecessor, Genie 2, could kind of roughly understand a scene. It got the gist of it. But Genie 3, it's generating stuff like water physics and lighting that is so breathtakingly realistic, it could easily fool someone who isn't an expert. The leap is just massive.
All right, so this is all incredibly cool, right? But it's easy to look at this and think, okay, great demo, but what's it actually for? Why does building a world model matter for anything beyond just making these really impressive tech videos?
Well, the potential applications are, honestly, they're huge. Just think about it for a second. Imagine creating your very own video game world just by describing it with words. Or what about using these dynamically generated worlds as the ultimate training grounds for other AIs, for robots, or even for us, for humans, to practice complex skills in a perfectly safe simulated space? Let's zoom in on robotics for a minute, because this is a really big one. There's this massive problem in the field called the sim-to-real gap. And here's what it is. You can train a robot in a super clean, simple artificial simulation, and it'll learn a task perfectly. But the second you put that same robot in the messy, chaotic, unpredictable real world, it just falls apart. It fails completely. And this is where something like Genie 3 could be an absolute game changer. It really does offer the best of both worlds. You get the photorealism and complexity from real-world data, but you also get the safety, the speed, and the ability to repeat scenarios over and over, just like in a simulation. It's a powerful tool to help finally close that sim-to-real gap.
Okay, so as we start to wrap this up, let's look forward. Let's talk about the future. When you have a technology that can literally simulate worlds, where do you even go from here?
It's a question the researchers themselves are asking. I mean, they know they've made this incredible leap, but they're also asking, okay, what are the actual limits right now? What are the boundaries of what we've built? Well, for one thing, its memory is currently limited to about 1 minute. But the researchers are quick to point out that this was a deliberate choice, a trade-off. For this first look, this research preview, they decided to prioritize having a wide range of abilities and that real-time interaction instead of shooting for an infinitely long memory. And even with all the hype, and as mind-blowing as Genie 3 is, its own creators are really clear about something. They believe they are still very far from actually being able to simulate our world accurately. There's still a massive gap to close before we get to a point where we can create a digital twin of reality that's truly indistinguishable from the real thing. Which, of course, brings us to that final, fascinating question that someone just had to ask the researchers. When you see technology like this advancing so fast, it kind of pushes you to wonder about the nature of our own reality. You know, the big, are we living in a simulation question? And I love this. One of the researchers joked that if we are in a simulation, it's definitely not running on our current hardware. And that's a heck of a thought to leave you with.